Back to Cool Running Stress again, guys, and today we're going to go through 3 simple steps so that you can stop blundering our pieces. So from 1200 to 1500 ratings, that is why most of you guys blunder your pieces, because it is very simple. These steps will not be very difficult to remember. So the first step that we have to remember is my piece under attack? Is my piece being threatened? Right? Second step, is my piece on a safe square? Am I moving my piece to a safe square? That means that the square that I put my piece on is not a unsafe square that is going to make my piece get captured. The third and last one that we have to think about is, after you move your piece, what is your piece was defended? What square? What piece? What piece was that piece being defended by? Right? So in this game, I'm going to show you. My opponent played pawn to d3. I played pawn to d5. He played pawn to e4, attacking my pawn on d5. I just captured back, right? He captured. Now we have to look to ourselves and say, what does that do? It captures, but also it opens a line from my queen to his queen. And we look and say that is a very good thing for us, because we're going to be able to stop the opponent from castling, right? Castling is very important in your games. You always want to castle. Now his king is under check. You should be able to just take my queen, and from there we're going to develop our pieces very normally. So you took my queen on d1. Now I want to attack the pawn on e4. Now this knight is doing two things, right? It is, one, I'm getting out my knight to a safe square to develop it. Two, I was putting pressure on the pawn on e4. He played bishop to d3 to defend his pawn on d4, on e4, sorry. So we're going to continue with our development. Let's play knight to c6, stopping the pawn from going forward. He played knight to c3. Okay, maybe he wants to jump into d5 or b5 to come and fort me. So do you realize the thought process? It's called board vision, right? So you have to look at everything on the board, but we're going to simplify. So no, we still need to finish our development, and I want to get out my bishop. So I'm going to play bishop to d7. Not the most active square. He played pawn to f3. I guess he wants to relieve his bishop of his duty. So we're going to castle our king. Right now we're ahead in development. King is castled and saved. He played bishop to g5. It's attacking my knight. Now I have to say to myself, is my knight being protected? Yes, it is being protected. It's being protected, no? It's being protected by both of my pawns. So, and I realize that's going to be an equal trade because knights and bishop are the same. So let's play pawn to h6. Usually you don't want your opponent pieces in your half of the board. So let's get rid of that bishop. So you say to that bishop, what are you going to do? Are you going to trade? Trade it. Now we're going to capture the e pawn and to release our bishop into the game. Now our bishop is being released into the game. Let's bring our bishop up. Bishop to c5. And we realize that this is a safe square. He played king to d2. Now I'm going to look to put pressure on that king. I want to bring my last piece into the game. So let's bring my last rook into the game. Rooks belong on half open files and open files. Open files is a file where there's no pawn on it, and half open files where one pawn is there, whether it's your pawn or your opponent's pawn. He played pawn to e3. Maybe he wants to play pawn to b4 in the future, but right now I'm going to play pawn to f5. The reason I'm going to play pawn to f5 is because if you might say, but Mr. Cool Runnings, if that's a free pawn because he's going to take it, I'm going to look and say, maybe you're right, but I thought about it And after if he takes it, my bishop is going to be taking it back. He cannot take it back with his bishop because my rook is going to be pinning his bishop to his king. So let me see. Pawn to f5, because we know that double pawns are not good. So we want to get rid of our double pawn. He took it. Okay, so now it's time to get rid of our double. Now it's time to activate our bishop. Activation of the bishop. Now you see why he can't take it? Because my rook is pinning his bishop to his king. Remember, all our steps are very valid here. Okay, so he played rook to d1. Now we have to say to ourselves, what does that do? What does that do? We have the move bishop here check, the king goes back, and that doesn't really do anything to us. So we're going to mess up his pawn structure. We're going to take here. Okay, so once we take, I want to get my knight into the game. So I'm going to play my knight to d4. And notice my knight is being protected by two of my pieces. He took, so we can take back now our bishop. He played rook. Just keep moving this one piece. What does that do what does that do? Doesn't really do much. So what we like to do in the end game is, here we say the end game is there, right? So we're going to set up now. We're going to say, well, it's time for end game time, right? So we're going to say, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up, because it's end game time. So we know in end games you have to start bringing our king to the center. There's not many pieces on the board that can really, especially if there's no queen. But there's a limited amount of pieces on the board right now, right? So while we wait for our opponent to think about his next move, we have to say to ourselves, what can my opponent do? He can bring his knight here, gets to attack my bishop and my pawn. But I will just take his pawn, because that knight can't be moved on, because I'll just take that pawn. So that maybe he wants to trade. Maybe he wants to trade and we trade back. That's not bad for us. We're a bit low on time, but we'll catch by the time. My opponent is thinking it's not really that much. Endgame is do you realize we got a simple position? We're not blundering any pieces, right? We're not blundering any pieces at all. We went through a 3-step process, right? Brought out our pieces, and we make sure our pieces are on safe square. We rook and see. Now he's rook. He played his rook up into the game. Now we have to say to ourselves, what is that rook doing? Now we have to say to ourselves, oh, the rook is putting pressure on our undefended bishop. So why not? We can bring the bishop back, but he's going to double up his rooks. Maybe we don't want him to double up his rooks. Okay, I'm going to trade. Took 5. Then I'm going to play f5. Oh, he played too fast. He brought his other rook and he didn't follow our 3 steps policy. First one is the most important one. What is my opponent's piece attacking or threatening? Now we're going to win the rook for free. Okay, now rooks, what we said our rooks are like open files. Now we're going to put our rooks on open files. And because we're ahead in material now, we want to make some trades. So it's time to make some trades. Okay, he stops our rook from going. Let's go all the way down because I want to bring my rook on his what we like to call weak side, because these pawns are easy to target, and also we can bring our rook here to force the trade of the rooks, right? But also, why I brought my rook down is because I want to what we call double up. I want to double up my rooks. I want to put my other rook on the f8 square. Still low on time, but hopefully we catch it back. I think we have to just play a bit faster. Don't worry about it. We have no increments. So when you have, especially when you're dealing with time management, you have to remember, if you have increments, try and keep up your time. If you have no increments, you have to try and keep up your time, but also making sure you're reading on your opponent's time, making sure you're calculating on your opponent's time as well, right? So even though I'm speaking to you, I'm still calculating what my opponent has. He doesn't really have much. I will expect him to start pushing his pawns. That's the best thing he could do. But it is still very losing. And the only way black should lose is if they don't follow my 3-step principle. Remember, it's very easy. And he missed it because what? He didn't figure out what we were attacking. He played way too fast. And that is why many beginners or many 1200 to 1500 rated players lose their games. Because what? You play way too fast. Sometimes you gotta slow down. Life is not fast and furious, right? Sometimes you gotta slow down and take it easy, right? So he played way too fast and he didn't understand or he didn't check his board. Remember, you have to have board vision. You only can't be looking. What many of you do is look on what is happening right in front of you. So if you see something, that's where you will look. No, the board vision is to look all the way. And my opponent resigned because he has nothing more to do with the game. Right? So remember the 3 steps policy. 3 steps principle of stop blundering your pieces. Or even to blunder less in your pieces, right? So the first one, remember to always look what your opponent pieces is doing. Is it attacking something from you? Is it attacking a square? What is it doing, right? What can it do? The second one, always make sure you move your piece to a safe square. Always look and see if is that square safe for my piece. If my piece go there, what can capture it? What can fork it, right? The last one is when you move your piece, usually move your piece is probably not defending something, probably was defending something and is no longer defending because you moved the piece. Always look and say, can I move this piece? Because if I move this piece, is it going to not defend this anymore? Is this safe for my piece to move? Always look and see what we're doing. Those are 3-step policies to stop blundering. Hope you lose this and hope these help you in your games. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.